Chief Woodin and his family members were on a family vacation. His daughter Turaya, a year 2 law student of UNILAG, was taking a mental note of some of the major events and analyzing them in terms of relevant rules of law of contract. When passing through a mall, she saw an automated teller machine and momentarily thought that she needed to withdraw some money. When it got to her turn to use the machine, she saw a green light blinking, signaling that she could insert a card. She was initially hesitant to insert a card, thinking that would constitute an acceptance to withdraw money. She eventually made up her mind and inserted the card, after which this inscription, "Welcome to Rarudi," appeared on the screen, following which she prompted to insert her PIN number. She was further instructed to press any of the following options: change of password, balance inquiry, transfer, withdrawal. Turaya pressed withdrawal. Thereafter, the following options appeared: 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, others. She pressed 10,000 and enter. Immediately, the ATM dispensed the sum of 10,000, which she collected. The transaction ended with the ATM saying, "Thank you for banking with us." With the aid of decided cases, discuss how the use of the ATM illustrates the concept of invitation to treat, offer, and acceptance, clearly indicating at what stage of the transaction each of the concepts would be said to have occurred. Would your answer be different if Turaya had failed to press enter? So that's the question.
Okay, please, I don't need to repeat it, but please, if you are disturbing the presentation, there will be a deduction in your mark, 2 marks. Please. So if you are ready, please start.
We are the Kardashians on the side. And
Please note that you have 6 minutes.
it's fine, thank you. So,
Okay, so we're treating offer, invitation to treat, and acceptance using an ATM as a case.
for a contract to be valid, it has to have like some basic elements, which are offer, acceptance, invitation to treat, offer, acceptance, consideration, and intention to create legal intentions. In this, we'll be expressing our understanding of the elements of contracts using the ATM as, like, analogizing it to the ATM with the use of ATM. And this question, like, if you have your past question, it is addressed in page 101. You can want to, like, you may want to follow up. Thank you. So to begin with, we'll be defining some basic terms of the elements of contract. So fine, we have in the case, like when we painted the scenario now, we have invitation to treat, offer, and acceptance. Without, yes, there was consideration, but we won't be treating the consideration because it is not part of the question. So my colleague will start by defining the invitation to treat.
So invitation to treat, according to Professor Andrews Burroughs, is an expression of willingness to negotiate. The Latin maxim is invitation ad offerendum. Invitation to treat is a preliminary move to an offer, which in fact is not an offer itself. Invitation to treat can be anything displayed to a large number of people, as long as there is no defined way to choose who can accept what. Items on display in a shop, advertisements, and catalogs are all common examples of invitation to treat. In Belliet Nigeria Limited versus Francis 1987, the respondent was informed by the MD of the Lagos branch of the same company that 10% of all company shares should be owned by its workers. The respondent and other Benin branch staff were invited to buy shares in the company since they worked there. The respondent applied for a share of 2,500 naira at 2 naira per share and was issued a receipt for the 5,000 naira he paid. The respondent sued the company when he was never allotted the share for specific performance. The company was not liable since there was no binding contract. It was just an invitation to treat. It was just 3 more minutes. Okay, letter of the respondent was not an offer but an invitation to treat, and 5,000 naira paid was the original offer, which is subject to acceptance. There was no acceptance from the other party, so there was no binding contract. That's like the example from Belle. Let me give you this. We have 3 more minutes. Alright. Okay, moving on quickly. I think we already had examples of invitation to treat a class. I don't want to go through that. Let's go straight to what an offer is. You have to know.
Just to mention it, advertisement, various forms of invitation to treat. Advertisement, display of goods, auction, sale of shares, invitation to tenders, and the likes. They are all examples of invitation to treat. So now to offer. What is an offer?
An offer is an expression of willingness or readiness to contract made with the intention that it shall become binding on the person making it as soon as it is accepted by the person to whom it is addressed.
Acceptance. So acceptance can be defined as the final and unqualified expression of assent. That is the willingness, like your assent to the terms of an offer. That is acceptance. It is like that is when the contract becomes binding. Okay. So now to the attempt of the question.
An offer will not be capable of acceptance if the person accepting was ignorant of the offer.
Please note that.
Please note that. Also, there must be positive evidence from which the court can infer acceptance. It must not be subjective in nature. That is the person accepting must indicate in either words, in writing or conduct. Okay.
So, moving on to the scenario in question, Turaya wants to use the ATM. So the green light blinking, the standpoint of the ATM, like, okay, I wanted to, going back to the question, please let me see the question so I can just relate it and show me where to take one step at a time. So the green light blinking is like an invitation to treat, like answering the question. They said we should at least the point in time at which the invitation to treat and offer takes place. The green light the green light blinking is the invitation to treat. Going to like the ATM and the display of options that, okay, welcome to Raya, readings and everything. Those, like, there is no an offer yet. Offer has not taken place there. So when even at the point of the display, where I know you might be thinking, okay, what if when there was a display of the 5,000, the 10,000, the 15,000 and others? I think for you to make an offer, like, the ATM is not the offeree. Because like basically you might be thinking that, okay, it is the ATM. So that is where the question comes in. Are you the one making the offer, or is it the ATM that is making the offer? So now everything, the green blinking of the lights, the change of passwords, the display to enter the screen, to enter your PIN, the change of password, balance inquiry, transfer and the withdrawal, they are all considered, in our own opinion, as invitation to treat. Why? Because this is because all those processes did not amount to an offer, but they are just like making trial to make a definite offer. So thank you very much.
So how many people members do you have? How many?
4.
We are 5.
We are these.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So let me see them.
This down.
She's also
Yes.
Alright, please. Can you please collect? So we have questions. Yeah. So questions. If you have any questions for them, please raise your hand. You hope you know that if you ask questions, it's a plus for your group as well. If you ask questions, it's a plus for your group as well. Do you have a question? Tell us your group so that we can add the mark. Provided that the question is reasonable. Group 5. What is it, champion?
They are not asking you to write rubbish question because you want to.
I know.
You said, can you hear me?
Yes.
You said the blinking of the lights in the ATM machine is considered as invitation to trade. Where was the offer? Like, at what point in time did the offer take place?
Okay, so
And acceptance.
So as we were explaining before, everything that led to the last point. Okay, for example, the blinking of the lights, the options of 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, and others were all invitation to trade. It says that there was no specific decision made by Turaya on what offer she wanted to give the ATM. So the point where she picked 10,000 naira first and enter, that was the offer made to the ATM. I would like to take this position because we believe that she still had options. So she didn't have any right from the time where she inserted her card, she could have removed it. She could have taken back her card, like all through the way to where she picked 10,000 naira and enter. She cannot take her card out when she clicks enter anymore. She has already made an offer. It's irrevocable at that point, right? So everything that led up to the point of 10,000 and enter is invitation to treat, while 10,000 and enter itself is the offer.
While the bank giving the money is acceptance, yes.
While the ATM giving the money is acceptance.
Okay. Hello. When is the moment of acceptance?
The moment of acceptance is the point where the ATM actually dispenses the money. I would like to go by this. I know that we're also confused when we're doing it. So that's why I want to take this stance. So that if there's any correction, we'll hear it from you. So we're not even, well, alright, I know like this special education is already, so let's take this position. There was no offer. She still had options. She could have withdrawn, she could have taken out. An offer is, sorry, I want to read this.
It's a definite willingness to like enter into a contract.
Okay.
Undertaking. Expression of willingness.
Yes.
So, yes, and it was definite. This must be precise.
If an offer is a definite, if an offer is definite, precise, and leaves no doubt in the mind of the offering. So using the ATM scenario, when do we have an offer? When do you have a definite situation? When do you have precise?
That would mean that the definite decision was inserting the ATM card.
Definite decision is inserting.
I'm asking, like, I'm as you're asking, I'm not also asking because see, genuinely this.
Okay, I think if I want to answer this question, the definite point where I think okay, there was different options, 5,000, 10,000, and everything. So I feel the definite point is where she entered like the 10,000 naira, the specific amount she wanted to withdraw.
Any other question from you?
I have a question.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so they said you can withdraw an offer at any point in time.
Yes.
So when would Toraya have been able to withdraw her offer? Since you said that the offer took place when she said she wanted 10K. So when would she have been able to withdraw her offer? Because immediately she said that she wants 10K, the ATM machine will actually give her 10K.
Okay.
And that will be acceptance.
Okay,
but like at what's the time lapse that she's supposed to have the option to withdraw her offer? When does it occur?
So the idea is out of our own confusion, especially mine. I mean, the point of this is education, right? Not grading. Moving on.
Answer the question without grading.
Can I?
Just answer the question.
Exactly.
We'll make general comments.
Okay, thank you. So, okay. So, the point of offer that's you answer.
Well, thank you very much.
One more answer now.
One more answer.
No,
Can you let
it's
us
not
answer?
answered.
Okay.
Wait, she has different options. Like, so if there is the cancel option in the 18. So at that point, you can withdraw, like cancel it. That's you like withdrawing it, revoking, according to what they
But you're
say.
contradicting. Hello, you don't have options to ask questions.
I'm not asking. I just want to like, okay, what she
Wait,
says.
hello. Now, here's the thing. Time for question.
What's the error?
So please clap for them. So the next group, please.
Okay.
Yes.
How are you right now?
Uncle. Hi. Away.
Hello, let's continue. Hello, please. Please, let me state the
Fine
case.
girl.
If you disturb, please move. I have it here.
Okay, you have it here already.
So,
Halima, why are you looking dead?
the name of your group, please.
The benchers.
The Ventures. Okay. What's your question?
Okay, our question is to act out the Carlill versus Carbolic case.
Act out.
But we are not complete. So
But
we
we're
can't
not
act.
complete, so we're just going to do this.
They are not complete.
I'm a volunteer.
Ah. You are not volunteer for
Hello, so here's the thing. Regardless,
Please, stay together.
I'll ask you questions. This is
That's
the
fine.
expert question.
Let's stop.
That's fine.
So when you're ready, please.
It's for me, no.
Okay, we're ready.
Hello, sorry. Please, side talk, the joke mark. I've actually cancelled the ones that
Together now. Is it fight?
for anything from now. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Stay together so that I can get to people beg.
Have your seat. You start deducting marks. Okay, go on.
Okay, hi everybody. We are the benchers and we are going to give you a summary /
Have you started?
explanation of the Carlill versus Carbolic Smoke Ball case. So I would start with the facts of the case and the issues raised by the defendant. That is Carbolic Smoke Ball. And then my group partner will continue with the response of the plaintiff, which is Carlill. And so yes, so the facts of the case. The proprietors of a medical preparation called Carbolic Smoke Ball issued an advertisement in the Carlill Gazette that 100 euros, I guess, rewards will be given to the given by the Carbolic Smoke Ball company to anybody who contracts the increasing epidemic influenza, cold, or any diseases caused by cold after having used the ball 3 times daily for 2 weeks. The plaintiff, a lady called Carlill, on the faith of this advertisement, bought one of the balls at the chemist and used it as directed. And she still came down with it. She used it as directed from November 20th to January 17th. And she was attacked by influenza on January 17th. So yes, that's about it for the facts of the case. So on to the issues. The defendant, because Carlill took Carbolic Smoke Ball to court, and the court ruled that the Carbolic Smoke Ball is indebted to Carlill by that 100 euro reward, and then the defendant appealed. So now we're in the court of appeal. So the issues raised by the defendant were, first of all, there was no binding contract by the Smoke Ball company. Secondly, the words in the advertisement expressed a mere thought and not a legal promise. Thirdly, the advertisement is too vague to constitute a valid contract. There was no limit in the advertisement, there was no limit as to time and no means of checking the use of the smoke ball. The fourth issue was that there was no communication of intention to accept the offer, that's by Carlill. And then the last one was that there was no consideration.
Them of Carlill's lawyers were Dickens and Allen, and they argued that when an offer is made, it's not when an offer like the one Carbolic made, it is not an empty boast because they put the honor £1,000 in the bank to show that they were serious with the offer. Then they made reference to the principle laid down by Lord Blackburn in Brooklyn and Metropolitan, where he said that acceptance must be communicated by the offeree to show that he has accepted. But then I said that there's an exception that where there is language can show that the act indicated is an acceptance of the proposal. So, and also they also said that never intended that a person who wants to use it should go to the office and obtain a repetition of the statements in the advertisement. They were trying to say that the act should have been done under the supervision, but when an offer is made to all the work, you can't import new terms beyond the fulfillment of the conditions. Notice before the event cannot be required, and the advertisement is an offer made to any person who fulfills the conditions, as is explained in Spencer and Added. Then they also said the promise is to the person who does an act and not the person who goes to their office to say he's going to do it and does it. As long as you do it by yourself, that's enough. And what they also made another point, they said only a person who lawfully, Carbolic made the point, they said only a person who lawfully acquired the corporation could claim the benefits of the advertisement. But Carlill's lawyers argued that as long as you get the product, it doesn't matter if you get it directly from Carbolic Smoke Ball, that's enough because you have increased their sale and you have also given them exposure by using it. So that's enough benefit for them. Carbolic Smoke Ball also argued that in the contract there was not enough consideration, but back then consideration was determined by the benefit to the offerer and detriment to the offeree. So, and in this case there was already benefit to the offerer in the sense that there was increase in sale and detriment to the offeree in terms of what she suffered by using the smoke ball product. Lastly, they also said, though effected through a middleman, the use of the smoke balls must be presumed to serve an advertisement and increase the sale. As to the question of the limitation of time, Carlill's lawyers agreed that within a reasonable time is the best answer.
Okay, so now onto the judgments from the judgments, because the judgments there were like 4 or 3 judges on the case. So we just summarized 2 of the judges' judgments because of time. So on the first issue of whether or not the contract was binding, Bo and LJ expanded that the smoke ball company's offer to the whole world ripened into a contract with a limited portion of the public who perform the conditions stated in the advertisement, which makes it a valid contract.
Thank you very much.
So I have a question. In the instance, what would have happened if Carlill...
Hello. Please.
I know there's a particular time in which the advert app started with the smoke ball for, right?
Yes.
Sorry, come again.
There's a particular time in which she was asked to use the smoke ball for.
Yes.
What would have happened if she used the smoke ball for more than that time?
Okay, well,
Let's say it's 2 weeks. She had used 3 weeks. So what's the legal implication?
okay, well, I have 2 answers to your question. The first one is that the time period given in the advertisement was vague. It did not say whether she would use it for 2 weeks and stop or use it for 2 weeks and never get it again. It was very vague, yeah. So Carlill, like, you cannot fault Carlill for using her discretion in any way which was part of what the judge was trying to say. But to really answer your question, if they were specific about the time that she should have used it, which they weren't, but if they were and she used it differently, then she has not followed what's in the contract. So I guess if they can prove she didn't use it as they asked her to, then there's no binding contract.
So what do you call that? Let's say it's 2 weeks they put there and she used it for 3 weeks. What's the 2 weeks? What do you call the 2 weeks? And what do you call her 3 weeks?
A breach of contract. A breach of contract. You guys know me out.
Okay, one more question. How do we know Carlill actually accepted? I didn't see anything there.
By accepting to use the product. By using the product.
Yes, and I also want to add that it is a unilateral contract, which is what Bowen was saying. So, and the way unilateral contracts work, you would make the offer to the whole world. Like maybe, let's say you're looking for your phone or your dog. You're going to make the contract, you're going to make the offer rather to everybody or anybody who finds your dog. But then the moment someone has done the performance, has like carried out that act, then you're in contract with them, and then the performance qualifies as acceptable.
Okay, I have First question, we have about 3 questions. So the first one is, it is a unilateral contract. The consideration, is it executed or executed? Executed.
Yes.
Number 2, what would have happened? Number 2 now. Hello. Number 2, what would have happened if peradventure, before she was able to use it for the specified time, which was 2 weeks, minimum of 2 weeks, right? The company revoked the offer. What would have happened? Okay, she was asked to use the product for 2 weeks or thereabouts.
Yes.
If peradventure the company revoked the offer before the specified time, what would have happened? Can she sue for breach of contract?
Hold on, so she has started using it, but the 2 weeks has not elapsed.
What would happen?
And they revoked the contract. She has already started performing the. Okay. Do you want to do that?
Tell me what because.
Okay, she has already started the performance, which is acceptance. So if she can prove that she had already started taking the smoke ball, then they cannot revoke it, because you can, an offeror can only revoke a contract before the offeree accepts. And if Carlill has already started performing the action, since this is a unilateral contract, then she has already accepted. You cannot revoke it.
In a unilateral contract, what amounts to acceptance?
Performance of the action.
Has she performed the act?
She has started performing it.
Before she performed the act, can the company revoke?
Of course,
The company can revoke.
she has not started.
If she has started but has not performed,
She has not performing it. She has not just completed.
completion is the acceptance in a unilateral contract.
But she has started ingesting the smoke ball.
So what are the rules the court will use, or what are the rules that have been laid down by courts and jurists, writers on the performance? Hello, thank you. On a unilateral contract acceptance. What are the rules?
It's not difficult to revoke the offer if the person has started it. There it's not.
Alright, thank you. Do you have any questions?